We all have that feeling, don't we? That intense, almost desperate chase for the next thing. We upgrade, we accumulate, we push for the bigger promotion, the new purchase, and we're convinced that this next milestone is finally going to be it, the source of lasting contentment.
And you know exactly what happens next, every single time. That new car smell, it's gone in a few weeks. The thrill of the new title just plateaus. We chase these external rewards, and the joy they provide is consistently, frustratingly fleeting.
Yeah.
You find yourself right back where you started, feeling a little empty, and immediately scanning the horizon for the next thing to acquire.
It's the universal treadmill of modern consumer life. But what if that feeling of emptiness is actually a massive clue? What if we're designed to find our most sustainable source of joy, not in what we can get, but in the exact opposite, in what we can actively give?
That is the compelling core of the material we've synthesized for this deep dive. We're shifting the focus from accumulation to what the sources call gift expression. We're going to investigate the hard science behind why genuine generosity is essentially a blueprint for sustainable well-being and how it fundamentally changes your brain chemistry.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to unpack the robust neuroscience that shows how generosity actually rewires the brain. We want to understand why this feeling is so sticky and lasting, and then we'll give you practical, specific ways to practice this idea of gift expression that require, absolutely zero monetary investment. Let's dive into this idea of generosity as a human superpower.
To really understand the power of giving, we have to start with this fundamental conflict of mindset. In modern society, we are so heavily conditioned to view life through the lens of scarcity. You see your resources, whether it's money, time, emotional energy, as a finite, limited pie.
Right. The prevailing logic is, if you give a slice away, you inherently have less for yourself.
Exactly. This scarcity mindset, while it seems logical on the surface, is exhausting. And it's really the root of massive stress and competition.
But the sources suggest an alternative path, a return to abundance. Now, I have to stop you there because for a lot of listeners, that sounds like pure positive thinking fluff. I mean, if someone is genuinely struggling financially, how can we suggest they just adopt an abundance mindset? Doesn't that sort of ignore the reality of their scarcity?
That's a critical question, and it's why the sources are really careful to define abundance here. It's not about magical thinking or ignoring financial facts, not at all. It's about recognizing the exchange rate of generosity. When you share resources, the return isn't necessarily financial. It's biological, it's emotional, and it's social.
So we're talking about a different form of wealth.
Precisely. The research shows that expressing generosity is so powerful because it bypasses that limiting logic of the scarcity mindset. The act of giving signals to the brain that you have enough to spare, and that act, in turn, rewires your brain toward greater joy, deeper social connections, and even, demonstrably better health. What's fascinating here is that giving triggers the very same ancient pleasure centers in the brain that respond to essential survival activities. Things like eating food or acquiring necessary resources. It's built right in.
Okay, so if the reward centers are the same, let's look closer at the biology. Because most people have probably heard of the helper's high, right? That sort of instantaneous surge of warmth you get when you do something kind. We used to think of that as a purely psychological reward, a nice self-affirmation.
It's so much more than that. It is a predictable, measurable biological event. When you perform an act of generosity, your brain isn't just guessing, it's applying a very specific, potent chemical cocktail to reward that behavior.
And the first ingredient in that cocktail is the obvious one, dopamine. That's the initial hit.
It's the chemical responsible for immediate reward, motivation, pleasure. It's that spike you get when you achieve a goal or eat something incredibly delicious. You get that when you receive, and you get that when you give.
But if they both deliver dopamine, why is giving superior for lasting contentment? That's where the second chemical, the real differentiator, comes in, oxytocin. Because giving is fundamentally an act of cooperation and social connection, your brain triggers this massive surge of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, or even the cuddle hormone.
Wait, why is that distinction so important? If I buy myself a new gadget, I get a dopamine hit. If I buy someone else a coffee, I also get dopamine plus this oxytocin. Why is adding oxytocin such a game changer?
Because the dopamine from receiving is self-limiting. It rewards the acquisition and then it's done. It fades. The dopamine you get from giving, though, coupled with oxytocin, reinforces a social bond. Oxytocin is the chemical foundation of trust, of affiliation, of safety within a group. It makes you feel connected and secure.
So the joy isn't just internal, it's relational. Exactly. And because relationships are ongoing and regenerative, the well-being you get from giving is inherently more sustainable than the brief satisfaction of any material object. You are literally being chemically rewarded for strengthening your social web.
That reframes everything. I mean, it moves from a kind of a self-help concept to a scientific mechanism for sustainable happiness. And the effects, according to the source material, move far beyond just your mood.
They do. If we connect this to the bigger picture of physical health, the data is truly compelling. People who regularly practice acts of generosity show significantly lower levels of cortisol.
Cortisol, that's the body's main stress hormone.
Right. And high cortisol is destructive over time. It increases inflammation, it impacts sleep, and it contributes to high blood pressure.
So if giving lowers your stress, it's a direct intervention in your cardiovascular health. The statistics here are actually stunning. They tracked long-term volunteering and found a strong association with lower blood pressure and a reduced risk for heart disease. This isn't just anecdotal, this is systemic health improvement.
Absolutely. Yeah. And large-scale longitudinal studies confirmed that adults who regularly volunteer their time tend to live longer than those who don't. But the nugget that really stands out from the sources, the detail that should make you sit up and take notice, is this. One study found that regular volunteers spent 38% fewer nights in the hospital compared to non-volunteers.
38%.
Yeah.
Just think about the massive quality of life implications of that number. The pain avoided, the medical costs eliminated, the time spent with family instead of in a sterile environment. It proves that generosity isn't just an altruistic choice, it's a preventative health strategy.
It leads directly to what researchers call the virtuous cycle or the happiness loop. You act kindly, which triggers that dopamine oxytocin release, which makes you happier, which in turn motivates you to seek out future generous acts. You are biologically programmed to want to repeat the behavior because it feels profoundly good.
Okay, to make this science feel tangible and break the idea that generosity requires massive wealth, let's look at the incredible story of the Secret Santa of Kansas City, a man named Larry Stewart. His story perfectly illustrates the switch from scarcity to abundance.
Stewart's story began not with abundance, but with absolute rock bottom. I mean, he was broke, he was hitchhiking, literally living in his car. He was cold and hungry when a diner owner mistook him for a regular customer who just dropped money and handed him a $20 bill. That small, accidental act of kindness paid for a hot meal and gave Stewart the lifeline he needed to get back on his feet and find success later in life.
And then, 10 years later, after he had found stability and built his own successful business, he remembered that feeling. He was at a drive-in restaurant around Christmas time and saw the car hop just shivering real cold. So he pulled out a $50 bill, a large sum at the time, and gave it to her as a tip.
The sources highlight this as the turning point. When he saw the car hop start crying, tears of gratitude, something just shifted in him. He realized the most powerful feeling wasn't receiving that $20 years ago. It was the incredible, sustained warmth he felt from giving the 50.
The helper's high was real.
Profoundly real. And far more rewarding than any material accumulation.
That feeling sparked a 30-year endeavor of anonymous giving. He became the Secret Santa, handing out over $1 million anonymously over his lifetime. But the core lesson is exactly what we've been discussing. His first act of giving didn't cost him, it enriched him with purpose. He broke the scarcity trap by proving that true wealth isn't measured by the dollars you keep, but by the positive impact you create.
And this raises an important question for you, the listener. If you aren't a secret millionaire, how do you tap into this powerful biological reward? The wonderful answer is that your brain responds to the act of generosity, regardless of the price tag. The science confirms that small, targeted acts are just as potent. For instance, a 2017 study showed that the mood boost from buying a stranger a coffee was significant and immediate.
So let's get practical. How do we make gift expression part of daily life when we move beyond physical cash? We have 4 accessible ways drawn directly from the sources that anyone can start practicing today.
The first is the gift of your words. We are just drowning in vague, fleeting digital communication texts, likes, generic pleasantries. Your brain craves genuine, specific acknowledgement. So instead of just thinking, nice job about a coworker's presentation, write them an email detailing exactly which point you admired and why it made an impact. That level of specificity elevates the compliment from a social obligation to a powerful act of recognition.
And it creates that oxytocin response for both of you, strengthening that relationship bond.
Precisely. The second is the gift of your attention. This is arguably the rarest and most valuable gift in the modern distracted world. It means radical presence. When you are speaking with someone, a colleague, a child, your partner, truly put your phone out of sight. Maintain eye contact. Listen not just to respond, but to genuinely understand. Making someone feel fully seen and heard without that distraction buzzing in your pocket is an immense act of generosity that costs nothing.
That's a real challenge, but a rewarding one. The third is the gift of your time. Generosity doesn't require quitting your job to join the Peace Corps. It can be small and manageable. Think about focused, dedicated time, offering to help a neighbor with their yard work for 30 minutes, committing to 1 hour of focused, distraction-free play with a child, or even just picking up a noticeable amount of trash in a local park while you're out for a walk.
And remember the data we discussed. Even just 1 or 2 hours of focused volunteering per week deliver those massive measurable health benefits. The lower blood pressure, the reduced hospital stays. Your time is literally currency for a longer, healthier life.
And finally, the fourth concept is the gift of your resources, beyond cash. Most of us have an abundance of things that we no longer use or need. Generosity here is dual purpose. Decluttering your home simplifies your life and lifts a burden, while donating those still useful items, that coat you haven't worn in years, those books you won't reread, provides direct benefit to someone else. It's an easy win-win for generating that helper's high.
So we've kind of come full circle. We started by discussing that endless, exhausting chase for fleeting happiness through material gain. What we've uncovered today is a beautiful, simple biological truth. Your brain is already perfectly wired to reward you profoundly for acts of kindness and connection.
The sources show us that for too long, we have been culturally steered toward the idea that joy is something to be acquired and hoarded. But your own biology confirms a radically different story. Lasting, sustainable abundance is found not in what you manage to keep, but in the joy and connection derived from what you willingly let go.
So we have a challenge for you this week. Don't worry about being the secret Santa of Kansas City. Instead, find one micro act of generosity, one small way to practice gift expression. Send that specific, genuine thank you email. Buy that coffee for the next person in line, or just give 15 minutes of truly undivided attention to a loved one.
And then just for a moment, notice the difference in how that feeling lands compared to the brief rush of a new purchase. That warmth, that sustained sense of contentment, that is your biology confirming you are on the path to genuine, lasting abundance.
If our own internal guidance system rewards us so consistently and so profoundly for prioritizing cooperation and altruism, what does that suggest about the core design and future potential of human society when we fully lean into our hardwired desire to connect and contribute? That's something to ponder as you go about your week.